Alright, so today is it's Friday, it's 5/11. So I had said before I wanted to get better at like reading the Bible and kinda just always kinda going over some kind of scripture for the day. So I was like trying to figure out how I wanna go about it, like find some kind of guide to what I should be reading, but I figure I always kind of look at the Bible after like the verse of the day, and it always kind of speaks to me for some reason. I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like it's God kind of trying to like talk to me through the app. So, and call me crazy, but that's how it feels. So, I was looking at today's verse, and I was like, dang, this kind of does speak to me a little bit. So, it's coming out of Matthew 22 and 37 to 39. It says, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So, I was like, wow, this definitely kind of speaks to me, because I guess I'm kind of struggling with this right now a little bit. The love thy neighbor as thyself part. And I guess because I've developed a sort of like put sort of like a wall up, and I can admit that. And I guess it just stems from a lot of deep levels of like betrayal and people betraying my trust, and just being too nice for so long and it not really getting me anywhere. And I kind of was like, well, that route's not necessarily panning out well, so let's try something different. And I'm not saying I'm going around just being like cruel to people or like hating people, but I can admit I'm not as approachable, I'm not as welcoming as I used to be, I'm not as happy, smiling all the time. Like, people used to would pick at me because they say, you always smile all the time. And I was like, I used to kind of think, was that a bad thing? Like, is there such thing as smiling too much? And I don't know, it always kind of bothered me, but I would always still say, I'm going to be true to who I am, not let the world change me. So I would just continue on. And then I don't know, as I went on and kind of had more experiences, more run-ins with people, and just meeting all the wrong kinds of people for some reason at one time. And I don't know, I got to a point where I felt like, well, is God trying to tell me not to be so trusting, so naive, and so, I guess, easygoing? And I was like, well, maybe this is a sign to me that where I'm headed is going to require me to be a lot more on guard. It's like, and I'm sure he didn't mean for me to go and like put up this wall and say, like nobody can get in or anything like that. But I don't know, I guess that's just kind of how it played out. So I thought this was a good scripture for me to read today, because I was like, I kind of need to really work on this, especially for this upcoming year. That's something I said I want to kind of work on, is just not being so, I'm not even like, I don't think I'm cold, because I'm genuinely a nice person, like, you come up, you say hi, I'm gonna say hi back. But I'm not the type to initiate conversations. Like, I'm not the type to just go up and be like, hey, good morning, how you guys doing? Kind of just, I stick to myself, I don't bother you, you don't bother me, kind of thing. If we happen to cross paths, I will say hi, but I'm not the type to like go out of my way to greet or speak to people. But I don't go out of my way to be cruel, to people either. I just kind of, like I said, I just kind of stick to myself, do my own thing, I'm focused on my grind right now. and I don't really expect people to understand my, I guess you could say, antisocial sort of personality, because I know where I'm headed is going to take a lot of focus, a lot of dedication, discipline, consistency, and I'm going to have to sacrifice a lot socially. And like I said, I don't really expect people to understand, but that's beside the point. But yeah, like, Christianity is definitely something, it's not something where, Christians come out and say, we're going to sit on our high horse and say we're perfect. It's something that you constantly have to work at. Your faith is something that you always kind of, at points, struggle with. And, kind of following the commandments will always be something that, you're never going to be perfect at. You just got to be willing to say, hey, I'm going to work on it. And, not just say it, you always have to kind of try to put it into action. So I said, I'm going to work on it. So that's kind of my spiel for today. I think going forward, I might just kind of go with the verse of the day. I know at one point I had seen something about a good place to start is, I think, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I believe, is where people say you should start off kind of reading. But I think for now, I'm going to stick with the verse of the day, and then maybe at some point I will switch it up. But I just thought this was a good verse for today. Like I said, these verses of the day on the Bible app always kind of speaks to what's going on in my life. I don't know if that's coincidental, or I don't know. Like I said, I think it could be God trying to guide me whichever direction He's got me going right now. Maybe I'm, not getting quite there yet. So maybe this is His way of kind of telling me, hey, I got this thing for you right here, but you're not really ready yet. So we gotta kind of get you to where I want you to be before these next kind of blessings can go. Which speaks to another thing too, about God not being able to do something new in your life until you can let go of old things, old situations, old traumas, old experiences. So maybe this is kind of part of that too. Just kind of letting go of past things, and I guess kind of letting people in again. But like I said, that's going to be a work in progress. So nobody's perfect, man. We all got our stuff. And like I said, Christianity is not something, Christians aren't perfect. They're just willing to work at being better, while also leaning on their faith and not leaning on their own understanding, but knowing that God has a plan for our life, and we're willing to work towards that in honor of Him and His sacrifices for us. So, but that's my spiel. We got hamstrings and glutes today, so we'll see you at the gym.